So how was your 3 day celebration? Today's the third day, right?
Yeah, they are going really good.
Yeah. I had a lecture in the morning also, so it's all a rush today.
It's okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So where's your organizer? Dhruvesh ki there.
There you, ma'am.
Yeah, hey, okay. You want me to
Hello.
share just now?
Ma'am, can you do one thing just in case anything happens? Can you just share the PPT with us?
That's
Your,
what I asked just now. I said, can I
yeah,
share?
yeah, ma'am. Sure, sure, ma'am. Please.
You able to see it?
Yes, ma'am. It is visible.
Oh, 1 minute. It's just shifted. Somehow it's not listening to me.
Ma'am, just a request. Can you not present for a few minutes? As in, we have a
Yeah,
procedure
nee,
to
there is
go
some
with.
problem. 1 minute. I'm not able to come out of it. 1 second. There it is.
Okay.
Just 1 second. I'll just shift this. You want me to unstop presenting?
Yes, ma'am. Please.
Okay.
And ma'am, if possible, can you WhatsApp me or email me your presentation just for backup?
Hey, it will do good. This will good. This thing. As you cut me. It's not an issue.
Okay, ma'am. No problem.
Should I share it?
Ma'am, let first the introduction procedure. We'll go through
Okay.
first introduction
Okay.
and then you can share it.
Yeah, sure.
Ma'am, we'll wait for 5 minutes.
Ah, sorry.
Then we will start. We
Bolo?
will wait for 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Before we go on, I have a small announcement to make. Please let your friends and colleagues know that we have a live stream of this webinar simultaneously happening on our YouTube channel. So, in case they couldn't join the meeting here, they may join it using YouTube. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. We are glad to have our principal, Dr. Zareen Batena ma'am, with us. The planning and the coming about all of the webinars and events during the Wildlife Week 2021 wouldn't have been possible without ma'am. A heartful gratitude for everything. I would now like to introduce the head of Biodiversity Department, Mr. Shelish Kumar Gupta, a postgraduate in animal physiology. Sir has always been interested in wildlife and ecotourism. Sir has been working as a naturalist for more than a decade now and finds teaching and spending time with students as his true calling. We are really fortunate to have him as the captain of our ship. Thank you, sir. I'm very glad to announce that we have had an extremely overwhelming response by the participants for all our events. Thank you, everyone, for that. I would now like to introduce our speaker for the evening, Dr. Sashirekha Suresh Kumar Iyer ma'am. Sashirekha ma'am is a retired associate professor and former head of department of botany, Mitibai College. She has done PhD in mycology, the topic being investigations on anti-cancer drug Taxol and related compounds from some South Indian coelomyces from the University of Madras. Apart from this, she is even a managing council member of National Society of the Friends of the Trees 2021 to 2022. She was even the secretary and chairperson of Mycological Society of India, Mumbai unit. Ma'am is a member of various known botanical and taxonomical associations and is well known who is looked upon by all the birding experts. Great to have you, ma'am. We will have a Q&A questions sessions at the end of the presentation. So please write down your questions in the chat box and we will take them up in the end. Ma'am, you can begin now.
Yeah, thank you so much, Purnima. Um, it's nice to be present here and to be present in this auspicious week of wildlife. Uh, and it's nice to be speaking about my own passion, that is fungi, and I really enjoy doing that. And I'm happy that I'm able to pass on whatever I have learned to this August audience. Good evening to Principal Madam, who is present here, and I'm happy to be presenting this talk to you. Yeah, I'll just share my screen. I hope you're able to see my this PPT presentation.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Uh, as world has realized, as world has realized the importance of fungi, it's very important for us and particularly me as a mycology teacher to be sharing the importance and the beauty of the fungi that we have around us and which we have not been noticing so far. So it gives me a great pleasure to be presenting this talk of world of fungi to you in this wildlife week. Now, as we know, this word fungus is an English word which is directly adopted from Latin, which means mushroom. And this was from the writings of Horace and Pliny. As you can see in this slide, that they are of varied types. Many times we actually shock to look at we feel that it's something dirty, but then actually they are doing such a beautiful job that we are surviving in this planet. Okay, it is that important. Fungi also, as any other organism, has a history, and it has a ancient origin also. Like earlier, about 1 billion years ago, there was a fossil record of fungi, which was noted and discovered in some places where they discovered that during the Devonian period, there were terrestrial plant-like fossils known as proto-taxitis, which was as tall as a tree that we would see here. As you can see in this image here, this is a 6 meter this thing, impression of the fungi-like organism, which later on they identified it as prototaxitis, and that is 358.9 million years ago, a large saprophytic fungi. I don't need to go into the history of Earth as such, because initially there were not much of organic nutrient on the Earth's surface. So gradually it came in as successively the living organisms start occupying, and then gradually when the organic content increased in the soil, the fungi also started appearing, and that's how the history goes on. There was also the other species, the Tortobus protuberans, a filamentous fungi, which was dated early Silurian period, that is 440 million years ago. Oldest known fossils of terrestrial organism, which looked almost like a mushroom tree. This was also a huge one. So this was at that time when there was not much of competition for the nutrients, and probably the fungi had a free time, and so it could grow to that size. And I would definitely would love to see that size. But as I remember one of the years of my teachings in Ruparel College, um, a student had brought one mushroom which was as tall as 1.5 feet, 1.5 feet tall mushroom with a complete cluster. So obviously it is not false that it could have been that size. So there could be many bigger ones. It is for us to find out and discover it. Fungi has a wide range, worldwide distribution. If I have to say that we are breathing in and out fungal spores. So, as microbiologists and mycologists will find it very familiar, but for the others, it is a little scary to know. But then it is a truth. We are living in a microbial world. We macroorganisms are living in a microbial world. Okay, so it has a worldwide distribution. It is present everywhere in the air, water, soil, on the surface of the skin of animals, the surface of plants, and various species in different kind of habitats, which includes deserts, extreme habitats also, deserts, and then habitats with high salt concentration or ionizing radiation, deep sea sediments, even intense ultraviolet and cosmic radiation. It has been observed, and even in that condition, some of the species have been found to be present. Okay, many of them, most of them are terrestrial terrestrial environment. There are quite a few in the aquatic environment, that is freshwater waters, and as well as marine waters. Now here, as you can see, now I had just put on the video because obviously I couldn't encompass all of them into one slide. So I thought I'll show a video which will show all the different types of uh, fungi, macro fungi, which are visible to us without any microscope help. Now here in this slide, you can see this particular mushroom, which is called as montague, is found in the deserts, and where it is vegetated only with a few trees and no herbs, not much of organic matter, but still we see this mushroom there, which is tolerant to that extreme hot conditions, and it was found to be growing very close to the acacia tree. Acacia tree is a similar species to the barbel that we have here, and it was growing under the shade of it. So it only proves that there was some amount of organic matter which was present in that near the tree, which it was utilizing, and the little amount of moisture that was sufficient for it to grow. That means it's tolerant to do that. The main job of the fungus is to decompose the nutrient and allow the nutrient. So this is a kind of a association between the plants and the fungi. And similarly, here you have the caribou moss, that is Cladonia species, which is a kind of a lichen, which is also called as the reindeer moss. and just found in extreme condition as the poles, the ice-capped regions. And this here you have this Aspergillus, Eurotium species, Eurotium rubrum, which is salt-loving in Dead Sea. So fungi can be present in any kind of habitat for that matter. So this is just a few examples where we can expect. So wherever there is organic matter, there is definitely will be some or the other species of fungi present there, in whether microscopic or macroscopic. Um, yeah. Fungi, therefore, are vital to all life on Earth, from nutrient cycling to food and drink that we consume. So we are actually dependent on various aspects for on fungi for industrial and other purposes that we'll be seeing subsequently. Now, the fungi was always thought of being a plant because it never moved. Because whatever we saw, the of fungi since last few years till 2011. Earlier to that, it was considered to be a plant because it was showing all possible characteristics of plant except that it did not have chlorophyll. But then there were certain characteristics which also matched with the animal. So there was always a confusion whether it's a plant or animal. Finally, it was concluded that it is neither a plant nor animal. It belongs to a separate kingdom of its own, which has its unique characteristics because of the presence of chitin in the cell wall, and there is other evidences which prove that fungi is a separate kingdom. So now we have three kingdoms instead of just the two, that is plant and animals. We have fungal kingdom also. Current classification, there's a lot of improvement done, modifications done, which I'm not going into those classifications now. As to make it very simple, there are three kingdoms, that is plant, animal, and fungi. Fungi release enzymes into the environment, which digests the organic matter and then absorbs it. That is, it to absorb the nutrients also. It obviously needs carbohydrates for its own growth, and then simultaneously to absorb it, it releases enzyme, extracellular enzyme, and that's another characteristic feature which is not seen in the animals or plants. So that was one of the exclusive character. Um, then fungi can store reserves as glycogen, like plants store starch. So, and here you can see it is seen present in the form of a mycelia, which is microscopic, and it is in this always embedded in the substratum in whichever place it grows. Now, that is not what all that meets the eye. That is what we see is not the entire fungi. It is just a fraction of the fungi that we know of. That's most of the fungi. That is the vegetative part is below the ground. It's invisible to us. What we see above the ground is only the fruiting structures and the sporulating structures, which are visible to us, and most of the part of the fungi is invisible to us, and that is why probably we find fungi very mysterious. And this actually is a complete network which is formed under the ground, and every second and every inch of ground that we step is actually we are stepping on the fungi, and this mycelium is the one which creates a kind of a complete network below our feet, and we are not aware of it. Now here you can see this is the slime mold. Slime mold, which this is one vegetative part which grows and moves like amoeba. Okay, this is one most primitive group of fungi, and it grows only on the vegetative decaying vegetation, and it when it forms the sporulation sporangia, the vegetative phase is not seen. And in this case here, these are the higher fungi where you can see the fruiting bodies macroscopically, and even see the various dispersal mechanisms in it. And here these are the reproductive bodies, and varied types. And Basidiomycetes is one of the most advanced forms of fungi. Now, fungi are in various habit forms. Habit forms, I say that because of its nutritional preferences. There are it is ubiquitous. Ubiquitous means it is present almost everywhere. The main job of the fungi is decomposition, and due to this decomposition, it increases the soil fertility and also helps in the formation of soil. Because yeah, as all of you, I believe, are the science students, and you must have learned about the plant succession and soil formation and everything. This pedogenesis takes place with the help of the addition of organic matter and water and so on. So it keeps on, the soil reaction goes on continuously, and this fungi adds on to the organic nutrients while it is decomposing the dead and decaying material. So when they are doing it, the soil completely changes every time. This decomposition, organic content increasing as it increases, and then it allows various groups of plants to occupy a particular habitat. So it is very important in this aspect, the decomposition, because it doesn't allow any accumulation on the surface of dead decaying material, and also it releases the nutrients that are trapped in the soil, and it increases the soil fertility, enabling more species of plants to grow. Only the thing, there are the other roles also that are played by this fungi, different groups of it. Pathogens. There are plant pathogens as well as animal pathogens, which are not only to kill or be harmful to it, but it also acts as a kind of a natural check over a population of a certain species. It doesn't let any of the species outgrow or occupy a certain place without any limit. So it's a kind of a limiting factor. So there in many of these species which get affected by this infection, there are various reasons to the infections, but then this is one of the main role. It's a natural check, as you must have studied in ecology. Then other than that, there are also the other roles like endophytes, where the fungi are growing within the host species without causing any diseases, just like the epiphytes, which are present on the surface of the plants and animals without causing any diseases. Then there are these symbionts. Symbionts are the ones where two partners are in association, and both are benefited by the association, just like the lichens here. Other than lichens, there are these mycorrhizal associations also, which are associative. I'm telling it fast because in the subsequent slides I have explained in detail. Then mycobians are the fungal partner, which are fungal partner of the lichen thallus. So dealing with each role of it, saprobes is uh, saprobes of saprophytic organism is one where you see that the decaying matter, the organic food is occupied by, or you say, is the fungi grows on it very easily because of the presence of sugar, and they decompose it, and we see these are a very common sight that we have in the house. If you keep stale bread or the overripe fruits which are kept outside, and if there is sufficient temperature and moisture, these common fungi like aspergillus, mucor, rhizopus, and all these, they definitely grow even on wet walls like this. All these are saprophytes, and if it is left alone for a too long a time, it definitely will cause respiratory problems. But then saprophytic behavior is one of the prime behavior of the fungus, because that is what it is meant for, decomposing the organic matter and releasing the nutrients to the soil. Now, as you can see in the video here, this is how it grows. It spreads, the mycelia spreads through the substratum, under the substratum, and throughout. It goes to a great extent. Wherever there is fruiting body, it's not necessary that the mycelia is limited to that much area. It really spreads extensively throughout the substratum wherever it is available. Then the other role is plant pathogen. It also has been causing plant diseases like this. You have these rust, then the leaf spots, the powdery mildew. Then you have this. This is the electron micrograph of powdery mildew. Then you have the different diseases, the covered smut of jawar. Then you have this grapes, disease of grapes, where which is caused by yeast. and then the rust species, the apple scab, and so on. So, and this is possible because once the infection happens, the mycelia, it grows through the tissues and it spreads throughout the plant and then causes the damage to the plant. Fungal as parasites and pathogens are also observed not only in plants, it is also observed in animals and human beings. And as you can see in these are the this is the bug where the fungi has grown through it, and then this is the fruit body which has grown out of the fungi, and this is the fly where you can see this white coat. It looks as if it's wearing a jacket, but it's not a jacket. It's the fungi which has grown into. It has grown from within the insect, and it has fastened itself it to the substratum. And this is an entomogenic fungi, which is insect loving fungi. The cordyceps is one common fungi, and this is here. There's one example. This is a plant pathogen, that is Skippus fraxinus, which affects fraxinus species. Sometimes the climate change is one of the prime reason which results in disease causing fungus, which encourages the disease causing fungus. But most of them are not bad in a natural condition, in a undisturbed condition. If the disease is caused, that means it is mainly for checking the overpopulation of a certain species. So that is the main thing. But nowadays we see many disease plants even in urban areas, in other places. That is because of the climate change, which is more conducive to the fungal species, the pathogen, as compared to the and the resistance in the other plants is the host plants are lesser, and that's why you see the disease happen. Now here you can see the ringworm, which is a common cause in human. Um, so over 85% of vascular plants are associated with fungi. That is mainly the latter, that is the fungi, which is assisting scavenging essential nutrients. That means it is decomposing the decomposing the dead material, and it's releasing the nutrients back to the soil, back to the nutrient pool, and this is helping the host to also there are certain species which act as a defense, act in defense, that is helping the host to overcome competitors. It can be invasive pathogenic form, or it can be any kind of insect that is attacking it. There will be some kind of a mechanism, maybe a chemical defense mechanism, which is preventing the host being affected. So this is a very common thing that we see in plants. There are on the surface certain species which are growing, which acts like a sentry, that is soldiers, which does not allow the infection to happen. Even protecting from them from diseased organisms. That is, excuse me one second. Sorry. That is protecting from the disease organism. That's a pathogenic forms. Other than this essential nutrients that it derives from the soil, that is it adds to the organic nutrients. It also helps in defense. Either it directly attacks it, or there are some indirect methods by which it can assist the plant, host plant, in defending disease organisms. In spite of this ubiquity, the importance of fungi, that is, in spite of the fungi being present throughout, everywhere, all around us, we are still not knowing many things about the fungi, whether it is good or bad, whether it's a friend or a foe. We don't know, and obviously because we don't see it easily, we don't recognize it. If we know something is in front of us, we try to appreciate it, but because we cannot see it, it's uncertain, and it's an invisible group of organisms, so we are not knowing about it, and uncertain things ke liye appreciation is out of question. Okay, so and obviously the beneficial activity is also not understood largely till it is put forth, till you come to know of it through various such talks and webinars. Around 1 million species, sorry, 100,000 species of fungi have been formally described by taxonomists. But globally, biodiversity of kingdom is not fully understood. It's the same reason. There are so many fungi throughout the world, but all of them are still not discovered. Roughly about 5 million species have been estimated in 2011. On the basis of the observation of the ratio of the number of fungal species to number of plant species in selected environments, the fungal kingdom has been estimated to contain about 1.5 billion species. This is a rough estimate, but there are so many more which is still not discovered. Now, I am definitely not going into the classification of fungi because there are a lot to be talked about. In general, we have the lower fungi and the higher fungi, of which the lower fungi are having simpler characteristic. Most of them are aquatic. The terrestrial habitats are occupied mainly with Ascomycota, that is Ascomycetes fungi, and the Basidiomycetes fungi. So, Ascomycetes fungi, all these are called as higher fungi because they have these prominent ascocarps which are visible above the ground. They may be in different sizes and shapes and beautiful colors, and these are immediately noticeable. Some of them are very useful for to us humans for and edible also. But because of these varied structures, they are capable of growing in varied substratums. That is, in different substrates, whether it is a wet soil, a wet leaf, organic matter, or whether it's a living plant or any such kind of habitat, it is capable of growing. Now, we happen to see these fungi on the trunks of the trees. We would be thinking that it is causing a disease. No, it is not causing a disease. It is actually feeding on the decaying bark. The bark, obviously, the plant will not be able to scratch it off. What is a bark? Bark is a secondary growth of epidermis. Okay, all these you have studied in your previous classes. It is secondary growth of epidermis, which has to be shed off. Essentially, there are certain excretory substances during the metabolic activities within the plant. These substances are thrown out. Okay, and they are thrown out and stored in the bark. Now, those substances, if it is accumulating on the surface, it is going to cause harm to the plant. So these will have to be shed off. Now, obviously, it cannot shed on its own. The plant cannot shed on its own. So it depends on these tiny little organisms to do the job. Now, what does the fungus do? The fungus eats between the cells. It actually feeds on the gluten that is present, which what you say seals the two cells together, right, in a tissue. So it separates it out, and that's how the bark comes off. Okay, and in return, what does it get? It gets its required sugar and carbohydrate, which is essential and which is sufficient for its growth. So that's how we see these tiny little mushrooms coming out of the bark of the trees. But there are some parasites like the Ganoderma and foams and certain other heterosiphon species which go right up to the wood. They cause the damage. Means, see, the fungi that grow superficially is not going to cause damage or any harm to the tree. But definitely those species which go up to the wood will definitely cause harm. And most of the wood rotting fungi are the Ascomycetes species and the Basidiomycetes species. So here, how do we differentiate the Ascomycetes species? The Ascomycetes species may either have a structure, a cup-like structure, which is called as the apothecia, or the perithecia, that's a flask-shaped structure. If I have to say it in simpler terms, um, wood canker. Wood canker is visible. That is, on the wood, if you see some orange patch, which is very hard and has certain irrelevant structures. Okay, just like spines, they are nothing but a group of perithecal fruit bodies which are grouped together, and that's one of the wood canker species. So this is just an example I'm telling. I couldn't get an image of wood canker here. But that is one thing. And here you have the dead man's finger, which is one of the Ascomycetes fungi, which is a saprophyte. It grows on rotting wood. And now why does the fungi have to grow on a rotting wood? It is because if the wood accumulates, there are these if a certain kind of chemical substances accumulates in this place, then there is increase, there will be this soil change again it will affect the growing plant species around it. So it is actually modifying it. It is breaking down the complex molecules into simpler molecules, converting it into nitrates and phosphates and other mineral content, which is easily assimilable by the plants, so that it is useful. So there is a complete mineral cycling that happens with the help of this fungi. Okay. Now, these are some of the Basidio and Ascomycetes species all put together here. Now, here you have, this is a very common, I selected some of them, which is very commonly seen in the Sanjay Gandhi National Park. That's the only green patch that we have around us. Maybe some are seen even in your colony gardens, or maybe you just have to go looking out for it. Now, this is a Daldenia species, which looks almost like a knotted knob-like structure. You can identify it by this color, and if you cut it, you can see this concentric circles, which look similar to the beetroot sections. And then here you have a type of slime mold which is seen only in the forest. Then you have the mushrooms and the earth star. Then here you have the bracket fungus. These are some of the bracket fungus again. These are the saprophytic forms. This Trematus, I think, is a parasitic one that I have to confirm. I'm not very sure of it. These two are the slime molds. This is Temonitis and Arceria. This is Morchella. This is morels that is highly nutritious and high in protein content, and that's how it's quite a delicacy. Now, this was the mushroom that I was talking about that my student in Ruparel had brought from Ratnagiri. So in Ratnagiri, wherever there is undisturbed forest, undisturbed ecosystems, you are bound to see these, because when it is undisturbed, there are various organisms that thrive there, and they grow continuously. So you are bound to see all these different species of fungi also. Now here you have the Xylaria. This is the dead man's finger again. In the asexual stage, it is covered with white powdery tips, and then once it completes the asexual reproduction, it in the same spot it gets the perithecia here. So you see certain holes, osteoles, the opening of the osteoles here, which look like holes on the surface. And just for your information, as I'm also doing the fungal diversity project in the national park with the help of the forest department, not with the help of the forest department, for the forest department, we have come across so far at least 6 to 8 species of Xylaria. Okay, and the one fascinating one which I had seen was almost 1 foot tall fruit body. It was real surprising for me, because I had never seen such a big Xylaria species. All that I had seen is all these tiny flimsy ones. So to look at a big one which is as big as a mushroom or bigger than a mushroom, it was really fascinating. Okay, and this is there in our national park. Okay, and here you have the cup fungi, which is called as the Paziza, which is a coprophilous form. See, even in the dung, on the dung you have the fungi growing. Now, the fungi is actually a cleaner of the ecosystem. It's cleaner. It is scavenging the place, and it is releasing the nutrients back to the nutrient pools and making it more favorable for the plants that grow. Then here you have the bird nest fungi, which is again one of the Basidiomycetes fungi. I'm really tempted to speak about it, but then I will not be finishing the talk if I go into each one of them. Then here you have the same, the cordyceps, Entomophthora, which is insect entomogenic fungi, which insect killing fungi or insect loving fungi. Now coming to Sembions, it is a perfect partnership, I should say. The plants and fungi are very good friends. Okay, plants totally depends on fungi for its survival, and fungi depends mutually mutually for beneficial relationship. That is, it also depends on the plants for its food. So it is a good kind of a partnership, and there are two types of partnership that you can see. That is mycorrhizal fungi or mycorrhizal association, and endophytic association. In mycorrhizal association, these myco means fungi, rhiza means roots of the plant. So here the association is underground, and this association is the most beneficial for almost the entire ecosystem, if I have to say that. 90% of the plants on earth have mycorrhizal association in their roots. So if you're going to see, if you want to find out mycorrhizal fungi, then you just have to observe near the roots of the trees. And if you see any mushrooms that are growing constantly along the roots or near the roots, they are definitely bound to be mycorrhizal. And this can be later on examined and investigated. And it's going to, because whatever we see above the ground is only the fruiting bodies. If the fruiting bodies are seen, that means twice or four times its size, it definitely would have spread below the ground and all around the place. Okay, so to a greater distance, you will see the mycelia that has spread out. So it extends the fungi extend the plant root system and also help the plant access the nutrient and water from the soil. So it helps wherever the plant is not able to easily assimilate certain nutrients. The fungi helps in that place. So you have two types of mycorrhiza there. That is the ectomycorrhiza and the endomycorrhiza. I think it is there in the next slide. Yeah. See here, this is the kind of a mantle it forms. The mycelia all around the root, it forms this mycelial thread, and it completely weaves itself into a complete jacket. So the root is totally covered and forms a kind of a mantle, and through the connection with the soil, it converts the phosphorus, inorganic phosphorus and inorganic nitrogen into nitrate, phosphates and nitrates, and supplies it to the roots. Okay, and that in return, it gets the carbohydrates and other nutrients which is required for its own growth. It gets energy from its own growth. From this kind of association, the fungi gets energy to grow and multiply. Okay, and the plant gets energy, that is the nutrients which the fungi passes it on to the plants. And we see there are a number of experiments that have been performed and proven that in the mycorrhizal association, the plants perform much better than the ones which don't have the mycorrhizal association. So that is a fact. Okay, so you have these various kind of symbiotic association. Then here there is another symbiotic association, that is the lichens. The lichen is an association between the algae and the fungi, and this association is such a strong partnership, a strong friendship, that it can survive even at the ice cap region. Manali and the snow capped mountains definitely have vegetation which are represented by the lichens. And then this lichen, what is the role of the lichen as such? We always would land up thinking, what is this use of it growing there when there is no other plants growing there? But definitely, this is all, the lichens are a source of food for certain organisms which thrive in that kind of an environment. So there are some small animals and small groups of animals which feed on the lichens, and then there is some organic matter that falls down there, and that organic matter is utilized by the other species. There are many species of fungi which grow even in the cold climatic conditions. Okay, and the main job of this lichen which is growing on the rock is to weather the rock. It breaks down the rock and is useful in formation of the soil. Now, this external mantle or ectomycorrhizal mantle, which I was talking about, when you take the section, you can observe it under the microscope as a layer outside the section of the root. Okay, these are some of the species. This is Lacaria species, which is also a source of lacase enzyme, which is industrially important. Then here, the second group is the endophytic fungi. Endophytic fungi which live within the plants. Now, all the plants, even we do harbor endophytic organisms. What are they? We do harbor E. coli and many other. I'm not very conversant to the one endophytic organisms within us, inside our bodies, but definitely there are uh, the numerous fungi which live within the plants, and they are useful for mainly defensive purposes, and they also increase the resistance of the plant to herbivory. That is, they create a certain condition, a chemical condition which deters the animals from eating the plant parts, eating the leaves in it. So it prevents the damage due to herbivory, damage due to disease, also makes it drought and heat resistant to face the stress. So there is a lot of such kind of defensive uh, benefits which the plant gets with this association. So it is from within, and these fungi do not cause diseases. And obviously, the other way, the fungi derives nutrition and it survives within the plant without causing disease. But it is not necessary that it will remain in the same condition. If the plant becomes less resistant, or if there is any disturbing situations, these fungi can also become pathogenic. So that means the mode of nutrition in fungi keeps on changing. It is not stable depending on the environmental condition. It can change its mode of nutrition. If see, ultimately it has to derive nutrition. If it is able to satisfy itself as an endophyte, it will not cause disease. But if it is not able to do that, it may grow as a saprophyte, or it may become a parasite. So it can keep changing like that. That changing characteristic is exclusively seen only in the fungi. Okay, so that is about the endophytes. Now, as I said, the mycorrhizal networks, the mycelial networks which go under the ground, they are like, it connects the roots of the trees throughout the ecosystem. And this is how the phosphorus, nitrogen, and carbon, they are converted into the assimilable salts, mineral salts, and they are utilized by the plants for their growth. And this flow of material is regulated through the network of roots and fungi as per the demands. Now, why do I see as per the demands here? Now, if you can observe this video, you can see the flow of the cytoplasm to and fro. It is not in one direction. So it is when the plant is wanting a certain nutrient, it gives a signal to the fungi that this nutrient is required, and that nutrient is transported or transferred to that in that direction, and so on. So it is a continuous thing that happens here. And here, this is another species of fungi which is growing here, and that also sort of forms a connection. So from, even if it is an unrelated species, unrelated tree species, they have a continuous connection throughout the ecosystem by this kind of a network. Okay, and this network is very similar to the internet that we have, and so much of information we get from all sources. In the same way, you just have to tap and give the right signal to the right fungus, you get that nutrient here, and that the plant knows how to do it and the fungi knows how to do it. And in this way, it's not only for transferring of minerals, it is also to give warning signals that there is danger in a certain place. Suppose there is invasion of insects, insect pests, or there is disease causing organism, maybe it may be fungus or bacterial. The signal is immediately transmitted through this network to the related species nearby, and they prepare themselves and to resist this kind of infection, and they are able to survive in such situation. So this network is useful in that manner also, and this is what we call as the wood wide web. So fungi, and this is how it is. See, when under the ground, this is just a cross section of the soil. If you see, this is the entire forest, and below the forest you have the network. If you happen to visit the freshly, what you say, wherever this road works and development work goes on, if you see the soil which is cut out, if you might see these kind of knots of fungi which are present, that they are nothing but the mycorrhizal fungal knots, and these are visible because mycelia as such is not visible to the naked eye. You have to see it under the microscope. But here it's a bundle of mycelia which is formed around the roots that is quite visible. Okay, so and this will prove that these kind of roots and the network, the mycelial network, connects each and every tree. And especially there are certain huge trees which have very large network, and those are called as the hub trees or the mother trees, which actually takes care of the entire ecosystem. So it's very, very important that the big old trees should never be cut. They should never be uprooted. The young trees will have very shallow root system. They would have not developed the root system so extensively as the mother tree would have. So the roots, as much is the extent of the root, so much is the extent of the fungal mycelium also. So because it connects all the roots together, and this energy allows the fungi to reproduce and form the networks within the soil. It is a mutual relationship, just like the and that's why it is called as a wood wide bed. And these are some of the examples of the wood rotting species of Basidiomycetes, which are a common sight in the national park. Actually, these images have been clicked from the national park itself. And this not only tells us that which forest is suitable to find which type of mushroom. If you look, if you have knowledge only of the mushroom, it may be helpful, but you have to search a lot. But if you know on which host species it is growing, because that is more visible than the mushroom, it is easy for you to track it and then go and find your mushroom species. Okay, so that is what is the kind of a relation that these mushrooms have. So, and they are very specific for that particular tree. They are very loyal to their friend. Okay, so the same species will have the same plant species will have the same fungal species growing, more of it, and having a lot of it growing along the roots. So, and this is a very common fungi which we see even in the urban areas. That is a hexagonia. Here you have this Schizophyllum species, which is a saprophytic form, or most of them are saprophytic here. Here I have not put any parasitic forms, but all of them are saprophytic. Yeah. Then coming to the other roles, like here, see in the single tree, you can uh, look at a tree as a single ecosystem, a complete ecosystem, which has the producer, the consumers, the herbivores, and everything in line, and all the complete ecosystem functioning throughout in a single tree. On the root, you have these various fungal forms. Then you have the other organisms which feed on the plant roots for its own growth, and then there will be some parasitic forms on those organisms. Then you have the decomposing community also. Okay, in the same way, on the bark, you have these algae and some species that are present there, and bark itself is a source of nutrient. Then you have these different insects which are growing there, and then the fungal species which are also present there, which does the job of decomposition. And pathogenic forms are also seen, root pathogens and foliar pathogens. Then the foliar endophytes. So you have endophytes in the leaves, you have endophytes in the stem, you have endophytes also in the roots. Okay, so you have all these growing in different forms. So there is no such situation where you will not find a species of fungi. So a fungal interaction, continuous fungal interaction with tree happens at various levels on the trees. So phylloplane is on the surface. Saprophyte is a general fungi which grows on decaying matter. Then you have endophytes and parasites growing on the living plant. Endophyte growing within and parasite growing on it harmful manner. Then you have rhizoplane and rhizosphere. Rhizosphere is the soil around the roots. There also you have different species of fungi which grow, and continuously they do the fixing of nitrogen and phosphorus and other such kind of salts and making it available to the plants. Then on the seed surface also you have some species of fungi growing, which defends to a certain extent to prevent the viable seed, protect the viable seed from decay. Okay. If it goes beyond a certain limit, obviously the seed is going to decay, and it decay sets in only when there is moisture. If it is dry, there is absolutely no danger to the seed. But if it has even slight moisture, immediately you see certain opportunistic fungi growing, like the aspergillus and other different species of aspergillus growing on it, rhizopus growing on it, and these definitely will feed on the sugars that are present in the seed, and the seed will not be able to germinate. So there are some of the seed surface fungi which prevents these organisms in an effective manner, and the seed is able to germinate in the soil, because the soil is fully occupied by the different organisms. Okay, the seed will definitely face these kind of competition. It has to face that competition and germinate and grow. So some of these fungi which are present on the surface, they help it and protect it till it germinates and grows into a tree. So this is a kind of a relationship that we see. This is a slide which is explaining again. Only thing, yeah. Here I wanted to emphasize on the leaf inhabiting pathogenic forms and endophytic fungi, and there is a tripartite interaction. Tripartite interaction is leaf inhabiting fungi and insect herbivores and the plant itself. So there is a three-way connection. It's not only the fungi and the plants, it is also the fungi, the insect and the plants which are benefited. So that kind of, this is a new thing that has been uh, 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 what do you say, discover, I shouldn't say discovered, they have observed, and there are a lot of research that is going on in this line. Okay, so with a lot of observational, that is morphological studies, the observations, and the lab work, that scientific analysis, chemical analysis, and ecological techniques in a combined manner, if it is done, it will definitely increase the knowledge of the importance and the quality of, I shouldn't say quality, importance of the fungi, and to understand the actual role of the fungi in an ecosystem, and then appreciate it. Mycobians are the fungal partner in the different lichen thallus. Okay, lichens are the organisms which are called also the pioneer of plant succession, pioneer of forest. It is described as pioneer of forest. Now, how is it pioneer? Because lichen has the thallus is majorly formed by the fungus. Okay, and the in only in the algal zone you find the algal partner which is residing. The main job of the algae is to by photosynthesis it provides the prepares the carbohydrates and other nutrients, and then it supplies it to the fungi. The fungi in return, it goes into the substratum. It with its extracellular enzymes, it dissolves the rock material, and then converts it into nitrates and useful nutrients for the which is required by the algae for preparing the food. So this is the kind of association that we see here, and with this action it leads to breaking of the rock, and also with the addition of moisture during the day and night fluctuation, and also the rainwater, there is a water added to it which increases the formation of the soil. That is, it further breaks down, and then a lot of reaction is happening with that. So with this, the soil formation, the initiation of the soil formation is done by the lichens, and that is why it is called as the pioneer, because it increases, starts the soil formation, and it is occupied by different groups of plants, and gradually the different plants, succession of plants grow in that till the tree is able to grow. So plant succession is started by lichen from a dry region, even if there is no vegetation. But if it is left alone, it is definitely possible for it to be converted into a forest over the long year, because formation of the forest is not an overnight thing. You cannot just plant the trees and say, I created a forest. You can't create a forest like that. The forest has to be created with the association of these different organisms. It is mainly the fungal and the soil organisms which make the ground for the trees and the other plants to survive in a habitat harmoniously. And if you're going to disturb that situation, it is going to take another century to for that association and that situation to reform in that region. Okay, so that's the thing that we know of lichen. And lichen, and that's one of the fungal forms. Though lichen is not classed as a fungi, it is an association of fungi and this thing, algae. This is some more. There are 400 genera, 15,000 species of lichens worldwide. Okay, on the basis of the microbial, you have ascolichens and basidiolichens. Now, when you go into the forest, sometimes you see some formation which do not totally look like fungi. Okay, but then you see these structures which are fungi. Then we start wondering what actually it is, because during our education, we have seen only a few examples of lichens, like this Asnia, then folio species we have seen. But what about the others? Now, these are all ascolichens which show the apothecia. Okay, there are basidiolichens also, which show the small basidial fruit bodies, basidial caps, but you don't see much, and you see it growing from a rock. Okay, now you start wondering, how is the mushroom growing from a rock? Then obviously it is going to be a basidial lichen. Okay, if it is growing from such hard structure, because fungi is known to be growing from soft organic matter or substrata. Okay, such kind of substrata. If you happen to see this growing from a rock or from such hard structure, you can investigate to find out whether it is a basidial lichen or a ascolichen. Okay, so see these structures growing from the rocky surface or surface which is not normally wet, then you can have this kind of investigation done. And ecologically, these lichens are important in making of the soil, nitrogen fixing, and also it is pollution sensitive. Wherever there is increase in the pollution, you will not find the lichens existing there at all, because they are very, very sensitive. Most of the time, as long as it can accumulate on its surface, it will accumulate, but then after a certain limit, it will stop growing in that place. That itself will indicate. So when you take out a lichen species and check it chemically, you can definitely find those heavy metals or the pollutant increase in the thallus of the lichen. So it absorbs the pollutants, but it cannot survive if the quantity increases over a certain limit. So with all this, we can definitely say of all the organisms that are present in the biosphere, fungi is just 4%. It is just 4% of all the plants and invertebrates, beetles, flies, insects, butterflies, wasps, human beings, vertebrates. Okay, so all the other there are so many organisms of which the composition is only 4%, and this 4%, if it is not there, the link between the living organisms and the abiotic factors are lost. There won't be any transfer of minerals. There won't be any organism surviving if the fungi are not there. So fungi is a very, very important link which creates this kind of a connection between the living and the non-living factors. Okay, so plants and animals are the source of organic nutrients, and the others are the inorganic nutrients, and there's a connection which makes the life possible on the biosphere. So that's a circle of life. So fungi are vital for nutrient recycling in the ecosystem. They use digestive and other plant matter and also the rocks. This also stops dead wood and leaves building up, that is accumulating in the forest ecosystem, and helps recycle nutrients back into the soil, which helps the plants grow. Fungi are also incredibly important to humanity. That means we have so many researches done, and we also found out how to tap raw material, use fungi as a raw material for various things. They are economically important, where we have used them for food, drink, and medicines, and even day-to-day life. There are many examples that way. One very common example that you know of is antibiotic penicillin, which is derived from Penicillium rubens. Okay, so there's grisofluin. Grisofluin is a painkiller. It's a kind of an antibiotic, which is again derived from penicillium. And then you have ergot. Ergot is it causes the plant disease in Graminy, but then it also has a alkaloid which is useful during delivery in human beings. That is disease is caused by the fungus claviceps, and that the toxic material, the substance, is useful as a medicine for during delivery. Okay, so there are a number of such examples. We'll, in the subsequent slide again, we'll be seeing it. First, now these will be the sequence of slides which will show the economic importance of fungi to human beings. Now we use it as biofertilizers. Okay, because of this ectomycorrhizal and endomycorrhizal associations, definitely we know that it is capable of uh, extracting nutrients and being beneficial to the growing crop. So this is used in agriculture. That these kind of association are cultivated in the artificially in the lab, and along with the soil. That is, along with the soil, these mycelial fragments are mixed and it is applied on the field. And this again, since it is a growing organism, it makes an association with the roots of the crop plants, and then we see the benefits there in increase of yield and all. So it is used as a biofertilizer. Obviously there is no side effects, no chemical side effects in this, and it is a useful thing. Now here you have this earth star, which is the Astrius hygrometricus, and species and Astrius odoratus, which are edible. It is an ectomycorrhiza, and it is also medicinal. It is medicinal as antimicrobial. So this is just one example I have kept here. So you have, I don't know if it is eaten here in India, but I thought I should keep this example here. You definitely can check out on the net for this edible mycorrhizal fungi. Then in agriculture, it also is used in the animal feed, which is useful for their digestion, and also in the cattle health. Then you have improved lignocellulitic enzyme production. Okay, now these wood rotting fungi are the ones which are called as the lignocellulitic fungi, because the lignin is present in the wood and the plants in the bark. This is degraded by the fungi, and more the lignin, more the enzyme production. So it is useful in degrading. It can be used in such places where there is these wood involved. So digestion of the wood can be easily done if those fungi are introduced there in the digestion process, or the enzyme to be extracted from those fungi and applied on in such situations. Okay, that is, industrially it can be utilized. You can extract the enzymes from the fungi and use it in that manner. The same way, they are also source of biofuel in a certain way. I'm not very conversant with the examples here. Then you have natural product discovery. There are a number of medicines that have been bioactive compounds that have been discovered from different species of fungi. Even from anaerobic fungi, you have different types of bioactive compounds that have been discovered, and medicines for various long illness and those things. One example I would give you, that is the Taxol. Taxol is a anti-cancer drug, and this anti-cancer drug till I think 1993, or a little earlier than that, till it was discovered that it is being produced by a fungus. That was Gary Strobel. Gary Strobel was the one who happened to be discovering that also from the plant from India. Okay, from India, that's the yew plant, Taxus species. From there, he isolated this fungi and found out that it is capable of producing this compound, that is the Taxol. And my research topic for my PhD was also the Taxol producing, but I have worked on the pathogenic form. And I find out that it produces to an extent of 274 nanograms per ml. I mean that much um, Taxol compound was possible by the fungus. Now, if the fungus is producing it, it is so simple for us to grow the fungus without destroying the tree. And you have this anti-cancer drug extracted from it, and this anti-cancer drug can be applied as a medicine to cure so many patients. So you don't have to destroy the environment, you don't have to destroy a huge tree for it. Taxus is the source of Taxol. Okay, so if that Taxol, if we can replace it with the fungus, then it is such a beneficial thing. And in that way, there are many such fungi which are available, and so many drugs discovered from there. Okay, from the fungi. So it is useful that way. Not only that, it is also useful as a biocontrol agent. Now here's here, insect pathogenic fungi. Okay, the insect pathogenic fungi are the ones which are used as a biocontrol agent, and they act as by contact. How does it? The minute it comes in contact with the caterpillar, in the field there are so many insect pests. If it comes in contact with it, immediately it forms the mycelia. It goes into the body of the caterpillar and it completely kills it, and then grows through it. So you don't have to spray any chemical on this. Okay, so and obviously the caterpillar is taken by surprise. It cannot even resist, and it is easy to mass cultivate this fungi. And by this, the this fungal mycelia is applied on the crop plants wherever there is infestation, and this control is successfully done. And this Greenvention Biotech is a company in Pune, which is led by Dr. Mukund Deshpande. He's one of our senior mycologists who's taken up this, who's leading this company, and this is his product, which is successfully being which is successful in Pune at least. I'm not aware of the commercial aspect of it, but definitely it is a success among the farmers. They use this powder. It is sold in the form of a powder. Okay, that is that mycelia are dried up, and those mycelia are packed and then provided to the farmers. That is here. Common encountered fungi with dry conidia and lipophilic cell walls. Okay, of Metarhizium, Brevarea, Nomuria, and Patholomensis. These are the species, fungal species, which are grown artificially, and then they are commercial. They are converted into commercial products, and these products are given to them. There is also this book, Journal of Basic Microbiology, which has this recipe in it. Okay, there are sometimes also mistaken identity, I should say. Aspergillus fusarium and penicillium are saprophytic species. Okay, they are definitely not entomopathogens. They are not entomopathogens, but definitely there are in nature entomopathogens. There are 377 genera and 46 species. From 46 species and 27 genera. That is totally 377 entomopathogens are present of the 5 million species of fungi that we know of. Okay. Then the medicines. Now, fungi are a rich source of bioactive compounds. Chemical diversity in nature is based on biological diversity. Okay, the minute the biological species changes, obviously there is a chemical change. You cannot separate chemistry and biology. Okay, so I always say ki physics, chemistry, biology, that is botany and zoology, can never be separated. That also includes maths and stats. Okay, so it has to go all hand in hand. Together it forms a complete basic science, and we have to appreciate each and every subject instead of instead of telling ki mera acha tera acha. That is, everyone is acha, and we have to appreciate the diversity and the implication which each has on the other. Okay, so drug discovery, if how do we discover it? To discover a drug, you need the biology. Okay, and to screen it, you need the physics. And to estimate it, you need the maths and stats. So it is like that. And pharmacology obviously is chemistry. So you cannot do without each other. And when you're doing research, you have to be having an open mind and doing researches. So here we have the different source of medicine. That is penicillin. Penicillium is the genus. You have cephalosporin. You have acrimonium. That is cephalosporium species. Then grissofluin is also Penicillium grissofluin. Then ergot is the claviceps. The name is not written here. They are used for to induce labor, to stop uterine bleeding, treats high blood pressure, relieves migraine, cancer treatments, uh, treats hepatitis and infections. Okay, then you have this cyclosporin, where tolipocladium is the source, and it is effective for immunosuppressive drugs. Then you have statins, which are anti-cancer drugs. Okay, so like that, and effective in cholesterol-lowering drugs. So you have many such. I have just put some of the names here. There are lots of them which are available in the net and in the various pharmacopoeias. Okay, then cordyceps and or ophiocordyceps. This is the fungus which is entomopathogenic. Okay, now here it is sold as a caterpillar fungus. Okay, caterpillar fungus because and it is quite prevalent in Tibet and the other areas, places in China and all. They actually sell these fungi along with the body of the caterpillar, and they and literally cultivated on the caterpillar. See, you can see the caterpillar here, you can see the caterpillar here, and the fungi growing out of it. So once they see the fruit body growing up, they dig it out, and along with the body they sell it. Okay, and this is a good medicine as antiviral, anti-neoplastic, and neoplastic means anti-cancerous. Then you have cordyceps also, which is extracted from this. Okay, so it is a medicine which is useful, which is highly medicinal. That is the cordyceps. That's insectivorous fungi is also medicinal, along with being a biocontrol agent. Other than that, there are number of enzymes which are extracted from fungi, which are useful for the textile industries, the paper industry, the food industries. The enzymes are utilized here. Then you have the beverages. Then you have the household items and the cleaning items. Then you have the animal feed, the biocatalyst, and then the biofuel, where certain enzymes are used for making fuel. Then you have these environmental management also, which goes on using these enzymes. So it's a good source of enzyme. Okay, this is something which will interest all of you. Then bioluminescence in mushrooms. You have heard of it. You have seen, you may not have seen it, or might have seen it in the videos. If you are lucky, you should go into Bhima Shankar forest. There are some bioluminescent fungi there, and this happens because of the luciferase enzyme, which reacts to the organic material that it is growing on, and depending on the concentration of these various organic nutrients, it changes its color. Now this one is green fluorescence. There are some red fluorescence, yellow fluorescence, and so on. And the success with transferring the genetic material responsible for bioluminescence into plants, that work is going on. Some plants which normally don't glow in the dark can also be made to glow in the dark. So you don't need to have a serial lighting in for various festivals, which will consume so much of electricity. You just have to inject the plant with this genetic material, and this experiment, as I said, is going on. Which eventually will develop glowing trees and glowing plants, which can function as street lights, indoor plants replacing the light fixtures, and so on. Okay, so this is the reference which I had come across, and that I had put it here. It was published in Nature Biotechnology Journal. So this will be interesting. If you have, see, during daylight, you have the mushrooms which look so drab, but during the night, it is very glamorous. It is very glowing and glamorous. And if it's a lot of them, it also can be used as an indicator in the forest. Okay, so that's the glowing plants. Biomaterials. The plant fungi can also be used to make commercial products. Like you have the packing material, you have the furniture, the shock absorbing fixtures in the rooms, which can be soundproof rooms, or such kind of structures which can be fire resistant. You see here you have the lampshade, which is done by the mycelia. Now, how does that happen? Now, mushroom cultivation, all of you have heard of. Okay, mushroom is cultivated with the compost. Okay, the mycelia grows through the compost. After the mushrooms are harvested, what happens to the compost? The compost is either reused, only 2 to 3 times you can reuse it. After that, what? That it will have to be improved by adding some more soil and so many things. Now, if you can separate out the mycelia that is present there, compact it. It can be compacted in this manner, as you can see here. This is the compacted. It is actually compacted and into a certain mold where you can create a structure which can be used as a pot. It is such a biodegradable pot. And it will be probably giving some kind, what you say, nutritional environment also to the root. Okay, so you can have this plant growing through the in such pot, or you can have the wood which is having the mycelium, and you can have these kind of furnitures, fancy furnitures which can be made out of these. So you have the use of mycelium based product which is biodegradable and sustainable, and it also contributes to the transformation of sustainable economy. This is also a new study that is going on. I don't know how far it has reached. Definitely you can look out in the you can search it in the Google or internet and find out about biomaterials from mushroom, biomaterials from fungi. So mostly the mushroom mycelia are utilized for this. Okay, see, mycelia of filamentous fungi digest lignocellulosic material and form entangled networks for mechanical strength and other properties. Now, this is the property that has been cashed in. Okay, this is the property of the mycelia that is used for making these structure, because it's a complete network and the mycelia are stronger. They are stronger and they give a lot of mechanical support and also a sturdy this thing, uh, um, sturdy structure to the product, and also uh, it is biodegradable. There is no such a material used which will disturb the environment. Okay, styrofoam, sorry, FOAM. Styrofoam is also a product of fungi. It is used. Fungi is used in this, and this is a reference for it. Finally, mycoremediation. Mycoremediation means, we have heard of bioremediation. Bioremediation, where plants are used for filtering of pollutants and cleaning of the pollutants and so on. But detoxification can also be achieved by using fungi. One of my students, she has done her research in mycoremediation, and she has found out successfully by treating fly ash pollutant and also the heavy metal pollutants by using some 6 species of fungi. Okay, and they are able. It is possible for these fungi to detoxify. That is, that the fungi has these properties to absorb the pollutants and hold it and not make it available to the plants. Not make it available. It is only toxic when it goes into the plant. The heavy metals are toxic when it goes into the plant. It doesn't make it available. It's like, Shiv, Neelkant, Shiv. That story you would have definitely heard of. How he holds back the toxin in that Amrut Manthan ka time. He holds it, and so that the entire world is saved from the toxin. That's the story. It's a similar kind of property here, where the mycelium holds back the polluting material, polluting substance on its mycelia, and it prevents it from being easily flowing into the water that goes into the plant. So this way you can simply filter it out. So using this fungi, you can use it for mycofiltration. Initially, mycofiltration can be done of the pollutants and totally clearing of the polluted waters. And even in the soil, the same is achieved, which reduces the bio availability of the uh, heavy metals in the soil. The flexible mycelia growth and ability to produce organic acids. That see, it's not only the microfilter, it's not only absorption. It has the capability of changing the composition of the pollutant. It simply breaks it down into simpler non-toxic substance. Okay, it has that capacity, and that is by producing this organic acids like you have citric acid, oxalic acid. There are different types of succinic acid. These are produced by the fungi, and they break down these pollutants and then make it non-toxic. And by this, you don't have to filter it out. It simply cleans the soil by breaking it down into simpler. So this is called as reductive mobilization. Okay, it reduces the toxic substance, and then the mobilization is more beneficial to the plants. There are other substances also where it precipitates. The chelating properties are there, where the production of metal chelating secondary metabolites like carboxylic acid, amino acids, phenolic compounds. These are also present in these fungi. So fungi can be used in pollution control. Okay, so that's about the various economic importance of fungi. And now, if anyone is interested, maybe you can get interested to look at fungi at least. Okay, you can observe it, then later on get into the study of fungi. But the basic methodology that is necessary for learning about fungi are these. I thought it was just a kind of a checklist which you can have. You have to know about the substrate on which it is growing, the climate in which it thrives, the time, that is the seasonal, how much is the humidity. This is observation. You have to observe the various morphological characters before collecting. So morphological characterization, spore print in case of mushrooms, host and infected parts, then isolation of pure culture. Obviously, without isolation, it's difficult to learn the microscopical characters, that is vegetative and reproductive characteristics. Then preparation, that is preserving techniques. Then you have microscopical characterization, where you have to learn the sporimetry, that is based on the spore structure the fungi are identified. So it is important for us to know that. Then molecular characterization and physiological characterization is also necessary to prove that it is the same species, because the minute the substratum changes, depending on the habitat, the characteristic of the fungi also changes. It may be of the same genus, but it will look different because the organic nutrient that it is receiving, it changes. It doesn't change its complete characteristic. It only changes its appearance. So it is important for us to know its specific signature chemicals, primary and secondary metabolites, which is possible by physiological characterization. So all put together, it gives you a wholesome method of identifying a particular mushroom. So this is called as polyphasic taxonomy, where you do the morphology, the biochemical analysis, and the molecular analysis to give a complete one. The most and interesting aspect of this entire thing is the photography. Okay, the slow motion or the time lapse photography. You must have seen in these film videos that I've shown. All those are time lapse photography, where it is so interesting, and there is a need for myco-photographer, mycology photographer, if I have to say that. So if you take interest, even that is a kind of a job. It is a job prospect. Okay, so you can enhance your photographic talent, and you can also train yourself to look out for fungi and photograph fungi in natural conditions, obviously. So these kind of things, it also gives a kind of employment. This is just on the lighter part, not lighter, a little more serious also. I seriously meant about the photography. There are, if you go through these videos, you will see there are people who have taken it as a career. They have taken such serious interest in it that they go months together into these jungles and keep photographing fungi, and then publishing photos or publishing videos or maybe giving talks. And actually, they all uh, it actually connects with us. We become humbled by the way the fungi grows and the situation in which it grows, and it's totally philosophical, if I have to say it. Yeah, and we learn such a lot from nature. And I hope by these knowledge, I at least I manage to infect you people with some interest in fungi, it will be a good thing. And I'm sure all will be treating fungi as friends and not only foes. And if it is foe, like over a certain this thing, but definitely observation is going to enlighten you and empower you with the knowledge of fungi. So, as I said, the hub trees are very important to conserve the natural diversity that we have. Finally, let us understand and appreciate this coordinated cooperation, close relationship of trees and fungi to work towards increasing the biodiversity for a clean, healthy biosphere. So let us maintain the friendship with the plants and the fungi and not disturb their friendship, and also be friends with them. Thank you. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
For a minute, I thought I got disconnected.
No, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. A small announcement. We will be putting a link to the feedback form for the session. Please fill that up. It would really help us to better host the webinars in future. Also, filling the feedback form, you will be eligible for certificate for the webinars. So please provide your correct email IDs. We will now take up questions, and I will pick them in order they have been posted. The first question,
Should I unshare this?
uh, which method or application used for identification of chemicals and fungi by Professor Swapnil Patil? The first question is,
Sorry, repeat the question again.
which method or application used for identification of chemicals in fungi?
Okay, it is a simple method that we do perform in classes. Like there are various sugars, various types of alkaloids. All these are analyzed. You have to do it separately. You have to analyze it for the phytochemical constituents of the mycelium as well as the culture filtrate. Okay, so you have to analyze the mat that you grow and do the chemical analysis for which are the main compounds, like the sugars, the alkaloids, terpenes, and some relate. If you know a history of those that particular fungi, you can look out for it. Uh, uh, and in the culture filtrate, because the fungi also releases the extracellular enzymes. So enzyme analysis can be done using the culture filtrate. Then you can do alkaloids and terpenoids analysis also in the culture filtrate. Yeah, like that. So there are certain protocols given as per the chemical rules. It can be accessible that way. Like you have to. It is a long procedure. You have to do each one individually and analyze it. So you have to grow the culture uh, artificially in that is the liquid medium on liquid medium and do this analysis. And obviously, analysis HPTLC and HPLC is also very useful to detect. Yes,
Okay.
does it answer the question?
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you. The next question is from Malvika. She says, "Hello, Dr. Iyer, ma'am. Thank you for speaking to us today. I am a passionate amateur mycologist and hold fungi forays for the public in Delhi. We see a lot of common fungi, especially birds' nest, Xylaria, termites, and derma, but also a few that I am unable to identify. While there is ample information available about American and European mushrooms, I often struggle to find information about fungi specific to India. Any suggestions on how we can seek out information specific to India?
It is, you have to keep reading, because all these I have definitely not come across any individual book on fungi. It is all separated out. Like you have mushroom separate, ascomycetes separate. It's not compiled into one book. There are textbooks, but then pertaining to a specific area as such, the work is still going on. Hopefully, I should be able to get some information. I have just started with the research on
Um, I hope Malvika has got her answer. Ma'am, your mic is off. Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, your mic is off. Uh, Sorry, ma'am, your
Ma'am,
mic is off.
ma'am, we cannot hear you. Ma'am, you are on mute actually. That's the problem.
Um, Ma'am, you need to turn on your mic actually.
Ma'am, re-login.
Ma'am will rejoin shortly. Please wait. All the participants, please wait. Ma'am will rejoin.
Yes,
Hello,
ma'am.
can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah.
Actually, I just wanted to know, was my talk heard by everyone, or I went on talking?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Oh
ma'am.
God, I thought it happened like
No,
that.
no. Now
Yeah,
only we have. Yeah.
yeah. If you give me 1 second, let me switch on the light. Okay,
Yeah.
1 second. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I should have done that before I sat, but then there's nobody at home, so I could not call anyone to put the light on. Huh.
No issues, ma'am.
Yeah.
So the next question is from Sonal Yadav.
Yeah.
How should I proceed if I want to study this kingdom fungi in detail?
First, you should do your embassy in mycology. You have to do that MSc in mycology. I mean, because that's where you're taught the basics of mycology in detail, how you have to identify, understand the characters, and then how the classification is, and so on. So once you go there, and then obviously there are a number of, otherwise just reading the book may not be helpful, and you can keep talking to people who are doing projects in mycology. Is this Sonal Yadav from Thakur?
No, ma'am, it is from MSc Part 2 batch Biodiversity.
Biodiversity. Yeah, you can still see, it's not necessary that unless you really want to do research in mycology, you have to follow what I said. Otherwise, interest doesn't stop you from learning about it. You can read the books. You can read there are a number of books of basic characteristic features of different groups. If you're interested in ascomycetes, there's a separate book on ascomycetes where you can learn the basic characteristic and try to connect it with the field information. Like if you join in a group where they are doing these field investigations, you can join there, or you can yourself try to find out. Only thing why I insisted on mycology information, because there are some of them which are poisonous. You cannot be easily handling all the fungi at will, because we don't know whether the fungi is going to be harmful or whether it will not create any harm. You wouldn't know until you experience it. So why should you touch it before knowing about it? So it is, you have to be very careful. So to identify these kinds of fungi, it is very important. Most of the mushrooms are safe enough. You can Basidiomycetes, which you see, are safe enough. But if you're interested in doing serious mycological study, then you have to have the basic information, basic knowledge, which is taught during the masters in mycology. I don't know how much interest is your interest, Sonal. What exactly you want to do? Yes. Hello.
So I think, ma'am, we are done with the
Okay.
question and answer sessions.
Yeah.
Um, so, as we are at the end of our session, we are very glad to announce that we had a whopping 65 plus viewers count of the entire session, and we are very happy that people are interested in this kingdom of fungi. I would like to thank Sashirekha ma'am for taking out time from her busy schedule and throwing light on the lesser known kingdom of the fungi.
Yeah.
The session surely entitled us with a new aspect of the amazing group of organisms. It has definitely instilled an interest in all us to study and learn more about the various forms of fungi and the factors associated with it. Thanks to our audience being with us and making this webinar a success. We hope you all gained something from this webinar and learned something new and different.
Yeah.
A huge thanks to our team members, the tech team for carrying out the session smoothly, the creative and content team for the amazing flyers, the PR and marketing team for communications and spread of words, and to everyone who helped us manage the event. Stay tuned to our Instagram page and YouTube channel for more updates throughout the week. I would like everyone to switch on their videos for a group picture.
Yeah, before closing up, I just saw the two questions that were asked by Aparna Rao and the other person. They wanted to know about why the medication, a single source of medication is used. With one minute, the chat box is hiding now. What was the question? Why only one type of medication is used for the fungal infection or something? See, I think you're relating it to mucormycosis. Isn't that? Is that the question? Hello, Aparna?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. See, actually speaking, yeah, got this thing again. How do doctors use a single specific type of medication for curing various types of fungal infection? It is just it's not, you have to identify the fungal infection. If it's a general one, which can, there are certain general suppressors. There are certain general suppressors which stops the growth. Once it stops the growth, and then the further that means it should not spread. So for specifically for ring worm and all, there are certain medicines which are already discovered. So it is that way. They try it out on various organisms which are there. There are common group of drugs which are useful for various types of fungal infections. So that's how probably you must be thinking it's the same drug that is given for different fungal infections. It's not like that. They do the culture test. Okay, I'm sure you must be aware, even if it's a skin disease, they take the material and they grow it in their lab, and they try out these various drugs, and then they prescribe the medicine. That's how this is the ideal situation. I don't know actual situation में कैसा होता है, because so far I have not been infected in fungus so far. Fortunately, the fungi has been kind to me. So, but once you get infected in fungi, the mycelia remains in your body. Okay, so you have to be more resistant not to allow it to grow out. Okay, so it's like that. And the other question for resources of books, there are a number of books available. You have to be visiting the library. I'm not able to tell it just offhand like that. There are a number of books which are for more toads and mushrooms and toadstools. There are small books which are available. I'm sure it is available in Bowen's library also. It's a small pocket book where there are images of the mushrooms and given. And if you search through the net, there are a number of such manuals which are available, and research papers available which gives you the information. Such kind of manuals, to be very honest. Okay. Yeah.
We'll take a good group photograph. So
Yeah.
everyone, please turn on your cameras. Thank you.
They are still not wanting to come in front, it seems.
Thank you, ma'am. It was an
Thank you.
informative session.
I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed talking about fungi.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for the wonderful session.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. If I can take a chance for one small little announcement, I'll prefer taking only one lecture of the biodiversity only on Saturday. I'm sorry, I'm just grabbing the opportunity here. Because there's just families to be done with the biodiversity group. I'll take only engage lectures only on Saturday. Okay, so Monday. Otherwise, I used to take two lectures, so I'll take only on Saturdays. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you.
ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you everyone for joining once again. Now I'll just end up the call. Thank you.